Well, welcome everyone from San Diego area and beyond. I'm so excited to have Jamul Indian Village joining us today. And before I kick off the video that they've provided for us, it's about a 7-minute video, and then we'll follow up with question and answer. I'd like to invite folks from the Jamul Indian Village if you'd like to say anything to us. So you'll, great, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to welcome all of you that is watching us here in Jamul Indian Village. We just wanted to welcome you and thank you for inviting us, and happy birthday. I can see the thing behind us. It's a little backwards, but it does say happy birthday. But anyway, I just wanted to say Hoka again and welcome, and let it be known that we are part of the Kumeyaay Nation. You know, where our roots began was right there at the ocean and all the way over to the Colorado River. So I just wanted to give you an insight. That's where our Aboriginal territory all began. So welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to play the video. One moment here. And screen share. Thanks for your patience. All right, we did have some technical issues in our last webinar as well. So give me one moment. I'm going to try opening the link in a different browser. One moment. I'll stop sharing my screen. I think my computer is saying I've pushed it hard today. All right. Let's try a different browser. One moment. All right, it looks like I'm having success on the other browser, and I'll share my screen with y'all. Thanks for your patience.
Howka, everybody, and happy Earth Day. My name is Erica Pinto, and I am the chairwoman for the Jamul Indian Village. Today, you're going to see a video regarding the Kumeyaay traditional ecological knowledge, where you will learn about plants that we use as medicines. You will hear creation stories and understand that the Kumeyaay people have been here since time immemorial. I hope you enjoy this very informative and educational video, and a happy Earth Day to you.
My name is James Coro. I'm a tribal council member from Jamul Indian Village. Us Kumeyaay, we've always been people of this land. In our creation story, it talks about how the earth and the sky came together and the two brothers popped out of the water, Yoko Mut and Chuto Pai. And those two created everything, the plants, the animals, everything you see. So when it came time to create us, he grabbed earth and he created us humans. And in the beginning, all we ever ate was the earth. That's all we ate was the land, and we were eventually running out. So after that, they had to do something about that, or we wouldn't have nowhere to live. And since then, we've always been caretakers of this land. We've always been stewards of this land, and it's important that we continue to do so, because this is where we come from. We come from the earth.
Hello guys, it's Teresa Cousins here with my dad, Kenneth Mesa. I'm here to talk about the land and what we use it for.
Well, I know who I am, Ken. I was brought up here since I was 15. Watched the Jamul grow watch the kids grow. I'm one of the elders here now. I've been here for many years. Never left the place. But I did go into town, lived in Urban, got married, had kids. As you can tell, I have one here. Lived in shacks, old dwellings. Wind would go right through. Sometimes you had to go outside just to warm up. So cold it was inside the house. The rain, we had buckets to pick up to catch the raindrops that come in the house. The windows were very bad. Taped everything up, just try to keep it warm. Yeah, so we had a small amount. We only had about 5 or 6 dwellings here. There was only 2 families here at the time. Our land was very small, only 6.5 acres. So we weren't able to do too much with it. But we did try growing vegetables and little things like that. Of course, we didn't know too much about vegetables. We were just meat, potatoes, and tortillas and beans type of people. That's all we ate. So, and we didn't have any money to go to the store, so we couldn't afford the vegetables. So growing up, I didn't eat a whole lot of vegetables. I didn't know what they were. Not really. Just the basics. The land was always here. We was mostly for our cemetery, which is right up on the hill there. The church, been here for years. I remember when we did it, I was a little kid and I'm here watching my dad, Uncle Val, a few other people, Lewis, Padre was here. They all helped build the church. Very nice. They did a good job. And we did bury a lot of our people here. All our people that passed away, we bring them here and have a wake, feed the people what we could, spend the night overnight, and then we'd all go home and we'd bury them the next day. Catholic Mass, we had a priest who was stationed in Verona who came down here every time we needed somebody for our baptisms and Mass. And we used to do a lot of Mass on Sundays. He'd come down Sunday, do Mass. Then he'd come down and do our anniversaries, which is what we always do after our departed leaves for a year. We were told that person's still here, and not to mention his name, not to call his name, let him rest, because we were told that if you keep calling his name or keep talking about him, he'll never leave. He'll stay here and he'll be lost. So for that, we always kept a little quiet and never said anything. And at the end of the year, we have another Mass and anniversary, another wake. And this is to let him go, to release him so he can find his way to the other side. And we were always told that on the other side, all your relations are there. That's why we were always told, someday you'll see that person again, whether it be your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, whoever you lost, you will see them again.
Hi, my name's Chris Pinto, and I'm standing with my sister, Erica Pinto. We're here to talk about white sage and the uses for the Kumeyaay people.
White sage grows prevalent around our communities, our Kumeyaay communities, and up and down the state of California. We usually pick sage and wrap it and dry it. And when we use it, we smudge ourselves, we light it up. It's used to purify, we use it during prayer. We use it just to
Cleanse ourselves.
So it's still used present day, and it's been used from the beginning for our people. It's good medicine.
Hi, my name is Richard Tello, council member for the Jamul Indian Village. Today I'm here to talk about oak trees and acorns and the relation they had with the Kumeyaay people for thousands of years. Oak trees grew abundantly here on the Jamul Indian Village, where men, women, and children would collect the acorns, and then they would grind them up in mortars in stone and make them into a traditional meal called shawi.
If we could all be together, I know we'd all be applauding. Thank you all so much for putting that video together. And I'd like to open it up now to questions, and we'd like to ask questions of you folks there at Jamul Indian Village. So I'll turn it over to Nikki to guide our question and answer time.
All right. Hello, everybody. That was a really cool video. Thank you so much. So I don't really have that many questions yet. I'd like to encourage the participants to please type your questions or comments in the Q&A box, or I'll even take them off the chat. Oh, good. I've got one here. I actually wanted to start with this comment. There's a participant by the name of Constance, and she wanted everybody to know that even though she's just a participant, she'd like to acknowledge the environment and land because nature is so very sacred to her. She loves animals, and she really enjoys how wonderful nature is, and she wants to wish everyone an amazing Earth Day. So I thought that was really nice. We've got a couple of other questions here. I had one in the chat that asks, Erica asks what the, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, the shawi, what does that taste like? I was wondering that too when I saw it on the, when you talked about it.
It's very bland. It's a little dry sometimes and kind of grainy. It's been a while since I've had it. Not too many people make it as much. From my personal experience as a young child, I remember it looked like a piece of cake or something. It looks really sweet and glossy, kind of like a piece of flan, maybe more close to that. And I would beg for it, and then they'd always laugh because I would taste it and it just doesn't have much taste to it. But it's very good though. As you get older, you get a more acquired taste. I'll let Jesse maybe here has a.
No, I'm just going to mention the same thing. You know, when you're growing up and you see that and you taste it, and you're just like, oh gosh, doesn't have any kind of a taste to it. But as you go and get older, you acquire the taste. And now for me, at my age, I wish to have that pretty much all the time with my food, just to accompany with my food. Now, I could eat it by itself too. So, but usually some people usually like to have it with, back in the day when they used to make their tortillas and they cook their beans and potatoes and all the good stuff. And they would include that a little bit in there too, the shawi. And it added flavor, I just feel that's what it did for me, was added flavor and a little taste when you mixed it with the food. So, but you could eat it by itself and it would be okay to do. It'd be all right.
Okay, and it's something you can't just make, you got to be careful too, because if you do grind it up, it does produce a sort of a poison that you have to wash out before you can actually make it into the shawi. So just FYI if people are watching.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We talk about that in Old Town, actually.
Yeah.
We talk about that point in Old Town when we've got the kids there. Haven't had the kids there for some time because of COVID, but hopefully they'll be back soon. Okay, I'm really starting to get a lot of questions now. This is great. Actually, from one of our volunteers, I have, who are the traditional medicine gatherers?
Well, it all depends, I guess, in the family. If you want to use something, it all depends. If it could be a woman or a man or a young man or a young lady, it all depends on how they're feeling spiritually inside, because some people are not touched by certain things that they feel they should be doing in the culture. But I feel that sometimes if you're born with it, you're going to know what to do. Like I was going to mention about the gathering of sage, you don't actually just go up there and just chop it away and then grab it and walk away. No, you got to say a prayer to that plant there, what you're going to actually use it for. You're going to use it for good. You're going to use it for prayer. You're going to use it for healing, those type of things. And you thank that plant for being there to help us to pray and use those things for cleansing, as they were saying earlier. So I just wanted to reiterate a little bit on that. But for the persons to go gather, like I said, you just have to have that spirit inside you to know what you're going to do and what you're going to use it for. And it's up to you. It's up to you. You could have the whole family go gather some of this stuff, or you could have somebody designated as a cultural leader or spiritual leader, if you wish, and they would be the ones to do that if you wanted to do it in that manner. But like I said, when I was a kid, it was the whole family. We're all involved, going out and picking all this stuff up and doing it with respect and all of that good stuff put together on that. Just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Great answer. Thank you so much. This question kind of builds off of that one from Wyatt. Hello, I've been so passionate about the use of native wild foods and was wondering if you used thistle as medicine.
The thistle?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that is. I know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I didn't know. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. All right. So we've got, besides acorns and white sage, what other plants were commonly or are commonly used by the Kumeyaay?
I was going to talk in the video, and I didn't get a chance to do the little piece that I was going to present. Mine was the elderberry tree. I don't know if you know what the elderberry tree is. It produces a yellow flower on it. It's really a beautiful tree. And those yellow flowers, you would take those off and put them in a jar. Again, saying your prayers, thanking the tree. But again, you would put that in the jar, let it sit for a few days, let it dry up. Then you would boil some water, just like you're going to make tea, and put it and sift it through the strainer so you can have that clear tea without any flour debris in it. But that would be used if you would drink it warm for fever, if you had fever. And if you had a stomach ache, that was another way of using this little tea to drink to settle the stomach and take your fever away or take it down a little bit. And sometimes the taste, it smelled good and everything, but the taste you wouldn't probably like. But my grandmother back in those days when I was just a little kid and they wanted me to drink that stuff, they put a little baby honey or some sugar in it and help it down a little bit. But that was what it was used for, to help fever and a stomach ache.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple of comments. Let's see. I'm a nature and outside person, and I love the fresh air and the animals and the plants. So that's why Earth Day is so important to me. Thank you, Marley. I'm sorry. Was okay. Another one of our volunteers from Old Town, Daphne, says, thank you for the video, this information. She's wondering if you guys have shared any of this with the Museum of Us, the old Museum of Man. I don't know if you guys have any connections over there. Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Great. All right. Let's see. This is an interesting one. Did Kumeyaay ancestors have animals that no longer live here today? Are there any stories about animals that are maybe extinct or?
The sea otter.
The sea otter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know from what I used to hear, there used to be a lot of antelope in the valley, but it's not here anymore. But I'm not sure. Myself, I wasn't at that time hunting, so I don't know. But that was something I had heard long back from people. And obviously, you don't see those too many here. And then the ocean, I think Lisa was talking about the sea otter. That was something that was a meal that we used to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that would be one of the other ones too, was the sea otter, that possibly, because we were hunters or fishermen and gatherers at the ocean also. So that was one of the main delicacies. The other delicacy I think was, and I today will not possibly eat. I eat shrimp, but crawdads, the little crawdads, that was something that the Kumeyaay people used to eat quite a bit. And for me today, I can't do it. I'm sorry, but I tried it and it was just not my taste. But anyway, those were some of the foods that we used to eat also. Stuff that came from the ocean that we used to be over there spearing for it or jumping in the ocean and trying to capture it and bring it back, you know. So those would be some of the things that we probably used to eat also. I just wanted to add that in, that seafood was part of our delicacy in our culture, a way that we used to hunt and do that, fish and hunt for fish.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Okay, thank you. So next one we have from Joe. I wanted to ask how you have been teaching your young people about traditional plant uses. What motivates your younger generation to learn about your traditional ways? That's a great question.
You know, nowadays, you know, some of the stuff that we do use, maybe possibly because of I don't know how do you say, the new age, maybe, you know, like some of us are allergic to some of this stuff. So we got to be careful. We got to be careful what we use these days too. You know, some people can probably take a bath in some of the stuff you boil up, you know, some of the weeds that are out there that I forget what you call it. Oh gosh, there's some brush out there that we used to cut and take baths in, because if you cut yourself or something, that would kind of help clean that wound. And it also, if you would get your whole body into it, then you're cleansing not only yourself, but your spirit. And that's what some of this stuff was used for. And I can't remember the name of the weed that we used to use, but that is another added addition of some plant that was used to help heal some cuts and wounds.
Is it the sagebrush?
I wanted to, no, it's not. So anyway, that was one of the things, and right now I can't remember it. As soon as I remember, I'll text you guys that word. Yes.
The chairwoman has a nice committee, a group, Acorns to Oaks, and she uses that to teach the children the traditional ways.
And also too, I think it's just also passing down tradition, as he was talking about stuff and different plants and use, and just trying to continue through the family, as Lisa pointed out, Chairwoman Pinto, that's Chelsea Pinto's daughter. And then also I'm Richard Tello, that's my daughter, Jewel Tello down there. And there's a lot of that where we try to keep passing on to the younger generation and talking and encourage them to be part of their tribe and working and knowing their history.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to the chat here. Okay, traditionally, would there be much cultivation of medicine food plants, either encouraging plants, I guess they're trying to say encouraging plants to be growing where I'm sorry. I think I'm not quite sure of this one. I'm so sorry. I'm going to skip that one. Sorry, Marlon. How about this one? So we've got from Anne, thank you all. Was it Mr. Cuero who spoke of the early days of Jamul Indian Village? He mentioned only 6 acres of land when he was being raised. What is the size of the village holdings today?
It's, you know, we do have the land, and we also have the church with the cemetery on it. So it's, I think it's 6.2 acres that we still have. And it's still in our possession. We used to have all of our people living here, but right now we're not living here. We're all off the reservation due to the reason that we are a new entity group that just got involved in gaming. So that's what's kind of taking up our space right now. So we're trying to, you know, this is our business. This is what keeps us going. And we're really thankful for it. We're really blessed that it has helped the tribe in many ways. And we're trying to do the best we can by helping the community also and other tribes. So it's been beneficial to us. Right now, our land base, like I said, is small, but we do survive, and we will survive and continue to survive. So has anybody got any land out there? Just let us know. We're looking for land.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I think I understand a little bit better about this other question. It's kind of cool. Back to Marlon's question about the plants. I think what was trying to be asked is the traditional plants, were they planted closer to where your people lived in, you know, their house dwellings? Was it closer? Was it planted closer there for either easier gathering? And is that the same now in modern times? Sorry, I stumbled over that a little bit.
Yeah, in modern times, I would say yes, they're close. They're close. But I mean, if you want to go out into the mountains and seek some of these plants, you can do that too because they're out there. Yes, they're close by to us. You know, even today they're close to us, and we're able to go out and pick some of these plants. And yes, the word is yes. There are plants nearby, and if we wish, we can possibly go down into the desert if we're looking for any type of plant down in that area, or go close to the Colorado River. And I know there's some plants down there that we usually use also. So not our tribe, but the other tribes do also across the ocean. I mean, across the Colorado, the Kukupas, the Wichan people, the Mojave people, they all have certain plants that they use also up in that area. So yes, some of the plants are really close in our area. And if we needed something else that was special, maybe, I don't know, we'd have to probably go out and seek it somewhere possibly.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Henry James Vasquez. Bird singers in Kumeyaay language. One moment. I'm sorry, Kim, can you kind of chime in about what you said here?
Yeah,
I'm
Sure. I'm looking at questions in the question and answer section, the Q&A section. So folks, if you have more questions asked, if you can drop them into the Q&A, that would be helpful because then we can answer them and you can see the answers, whereas the chat feature, not so much. But yeah, there's a question from Henry. He asks, are any of your village members bird singers, and are any of you speakers of the Kumeyaay language?
James Quero, the one that spoke about the creation story, he is our bird singer. Young man, started when he was very young, and now he's a good adult person that continues to sing the songs. And there's a few of us that do speak, but you know, we're not fluent on it. It's like, hey, you know how some people say, hey, I speak broken English. Well, I speak broken Indian once in a while, you know. But the words, yes, we do speak, and some of us are like need to steady up a little bit and bring it back close, which we are doing. Then we do have, like Mr. Mesa was talking about the village. He's one of our tribal members that speaks the language fluent. Very fluent in the language. So there are a few of us that speak the words, speak the language.
Great, thank you. Okay, I've got one from Wyatt here. My boys and I will be trying to make the acorn mash. Did you ever make it into bread? Now you mentioned kind of like a flan-like texture, but you also said cake. So.
I don't make it myself. I know other people make it. They usually prepare the acorns for you, but I would just, again, caution if you do to watch out. I don't know if it's lye that it produces or at the top of my head, I'm trying to think of what it does produce, but it's a poison. So you have to wash it really carefully and have it rinsed off and let it sit for a while. And there's a process. So I would look to somebody that knows what they're doing before you just kind of go out and try to make it yourself. I'd caution you very much to do that, please. I don't know, bread, do they ever make bread out of it? I don't think so.
The other thing I was going to mention too, that, you know, we, the tribe here, have been looking forward to possibly in the near future here, that we wanted to gather some acorn, and we find that there are other neighboring tribes that can get those acorns for us, because what we want to do is we want to have a class down here for not only for the elders and we want to get the young people involved, let them know that this is one of the main foods that we want to continue on and to be recognized and associated with the Kumeyaay Nation, that we do and eat. Shall we make the shall we eat it? So that's why I was getting ready to mention, well, I am mentioning, I'm sorry, that we are going to try and get a class together, and once we master making the shall we, I don't see us, you know, going out and sharing. I do see us going out and sharing this, how this was made. We're probably going to record it. We're going to have a few people present. It's not it's probably a 2 or 3 day deal, because you got to clean it. You got a lot of preparation. So I'm hoping that we get to record all of that and share that with you if you wish. And I'm hoping we're going to do that in the next, just maybe 4 months or so. It all depends if we can get the acorn, and if it's harvest time, that's when we're going to be able to get the acorn and then do this. I just wanted to share that with you.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. We'll look forward to that. Oh, go ahead.
Can I just mention one more thing? Chairwoman was texting me to remind you when you asked the question of how we pass down tradition and stuff too. Another way, and another part of the plant that we use is the willow tree and gourd making. So we do have gourd making that we have classes that we'll go grab all the gourds. Usually we go up to Fallbrook to the gourd farm and go get a bunch of gourds and different things and different shapes, and have a class with the kids. And there's a certain time when you pick the willow. The willow is traditionally in the handle part of the gourd. And then also you get the palm tree seeds that go in the middle. So there's a process how you clean it out, get it hollowed, get it into the shape to be a gourd, and then actually put your handle together in there. And but that's another way that we do pass down our tradition and our history.
Okay, great, thank you. So I've got a couple questions about sage, and they kind of link up with each other. I have one that's, can anyone pick sage? And then a second one, have heard about problems caused by too many people gathering sage and have seen bundles being sold at non-Indigenous retail locations. I've also seen that. Should use of white sage be regulated?
Oh gosh, you know, that sage is used for prayer, you know, and for them to sell it like that, I'm not against them doing it. It's just that, you know, that you need to think about what you're doing there. I mean, do you want to include that as something that you want to sell, or do you want to give that away to somebody to pass on something that may help them, may, you know, hey, take this, pray. If you need prayer, or you need some type of healing, or you need something that extra help in prayer, take this and use it, you know. And for them to sell it, I'm not too happy about that. But regulate it, I don't know. How do you regulate that? This is stuff that grows wild out there, you know. So that's a good question. I don't know.
And one of the things when Uncle Jess was talking about earlier, when you say your prayer and you're picking it, my mother also taught me is you don't ever take everything from the plant. You leave enough to be for next time, for it to grow, for the plant to be there. If somebody else needs to grab some off it, you know, possibly. You take as much as you need. So I think that kind of answers some of the questions that they're asking too.
Mm-hmm. Great, yeah. Great answers, thank you. Okay, we've got a question here about what kind of jobs did the children have? I assume in historic times, ages 9 to 10. Maybe somebody might be asking if there's little ones there.
When I was growing up, I'll tell you what, mine was, you know, we didn't have the running water, so we had to go gather the water. My sisters and all of us had to go down to the well or wherever the water was at, and we had to pump the water, bring it up to the house. You know, that was used for washing your dishes, used for taking a bath, used for a number of things, and mainly cooking. And so anyway, that was one of our main jobs. The other job was to gathering up wood. You know, you had to go, you had a fireplace or you had a stove, you had to get the wood. It was the kids that went out and grabbed them. The adults may cut them up and put them somewhere that they tell you, go over there, the wood's piled up, go get it, bring it. Let's start a fire, start get cooking here. And yeah, that was one of the deals that we had to do was gather wood, get water, and us big kids had to watch out for the little kids when we were down there, you know, gathering water and picking up wood because of spiders and all that good stuff, snakes. But yeah, that was those were our jobs at times, to gather wood and fetch water.
Yeah.
So, and back in the day, I would think when the people were going out hunting, the kids were, I always thought the kids used the rabbit stick to throw the rabbit stick and kill the rabbit. You know, they're the ones that probably did that, or the women, and possibly the men too. But I just feel that that job was mainly for light work because you're throwing that stick to kill that rabbit. And I just thought many times when I talked to my aunt that the kids were the ones that were running around trying to hunt down rabbits with their rabbit stick. It was like a boomerang. I don't know if you guys see it. You just throw it, it just runs over there or flies to the air and hits the rabbit. So I don't know if any of you had a chance to use it, but it's something. If you want to go out and try that and hunt rabbit, the thing is you got to eat the rabbit. You just don't kill that rabbit.
That's right.
You got to eat the whole thing.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so
Yes.
another question about the acorns. When's the best time to pick acorns? I'm not sure if we already talked about that.
Gosh, I forget. I'm not sure if it's right around in September or October.
Yeah, I'll say the fall.
Yeah, I think it's in the fall when that's when harvest season comes, you know.
Mhm.
Like if you go up to the Laguna Mountains or Kumeyaay, somewhere around up those, you'll see those acorns falling to the ground. So that's when you pick them up. If the ground's wet and the acorn's down on the ground and it's wet, the acorn may possibly be ruined already because of the water setting into that. So you want to pick them up when the ground's dry and the acorn itself is dry. You can tell. You can usually tell when they're ready to go. You know, some of them you'll see they're cracked already. Maybe you don't want those. The ones that got maybe a dark color, which is maybe it's rotten already because of sitting on the ground and the moisture got to it. But those are the times when you want to get those acorns and pick them up, is when they're nice and dry, and put them in a nice dry bag. Or back in the day, they had the gunny sack and they'd fill those things up and put them somewhere and keep it dry and off the ground so it doesn't get moist and mildew will destroy it. So yes, sometime during the fall.
And if it has a little hole, don't use that acorn.
Yeah,
either.
sometimes these little bugs go in there. So
Don't bring them in your house.
Thank you for elaborating on that. All right, we've got a minute. Kim, we're gonna keep it to 2:45?
Since this is our last presentation for the day, and we still have quite a few questions, feel free to keep sharing them as long as the panelists are feeling okay, good to go. How are you guys doing?
we're good to go.
Okay, great. There's plenty of questions.
I'm answering for everybody.
Maybe about another 15 minutes or so. We'll see how it goes. We're getting a ton of questions here, so you guys let me know when you're winding down. So we've got another, okay, so Marlon, yep, we answered that one. They did say that they grow plants next to their living spaces. And then the next one, are you able to still harvest seagrass or hunt in the ocean? Now, I've heard that some tribes have been able to return to hunting in the ocean. Is that a goal of your community?
I think we spoke about it before, and it's just in the future right now because of other things that are being challenged in the Indian nation. So that is one of the things we've been dwelling on, is going back to the ocean and maybe recovering some of the artifacts that are down there in the ocean also, because, you know, our land base was a little bit more out further than what it is now. You know, 10,000 years ago, we were probably right close to the islands. I don't want to say how close, but I mean, we were darn close to them. And I feel, yes, I'd like us to go back to the ocean. I do eat seafood, so I feel that a lot of us have lost that, I don't know, that tradition that we used to have, that we used to be out there in the ocean and eating all these foods. But nowadays we're, you know, some of us love fish and will fish, but the others, you know, they're that's not their deal anymore, you know. It's meat, chicken, vegetables, you know, stuff like that. And so I feel that if we talk about it among ourselves more, that we may possibly start pursuing something towards the ocean. And I think we will, and we are going to. We just need to sit down and talk about it more. And what do we actually want to do? What do we actually want to go out there and, besides looking at our artifacts that are there? But I mean, the foods that you're speaking of, the foods that we need to see whether or not we want to revisit some of that. So yes, that's still something we need to speak of.
Okay, great. Thank you. So kind of switching gears here, we've got a question about books for children that are about Kumeyaay traditions linked to nature. Does anybody have anything off the top of their head?
I don't have anything.
No. Sunbelt Publications has a nice selection of books.
Okay, great. Sunbelt.
They even have a coloring plant book that's nice.
Oh, great. Okay.
And I'll post in the chat on Old Town San Diego State Historic Park's webpage. We have a special Earth Day page. And of course, like the resources that we have listed, they're not exhaustive, but it's a good place to start. And I do remember a couple of children's books that we posted on there. So I'll be sure to include the link in the chat.
Thank you, Pam. Okay, another question about where the plants are. Do you grow them yourself? We've talked about that. We've got this question from Rachel. How do you keep your community together if you are not living together? I guess that goes to what you were talking about before.
Well, due to COVID, we were doing Zoom. You know, we got a little bit of that technology in us nowadays, so we got to use a lot of Zoom. That's how we kept in contact. And just a few days ago, we finally got to do a tribal meeting with all of our tribal members, all in person. We all were just so happy to see each other because we hadn't seen each other in quite a while, and it was kind of different, you know. So now we have to be spread apart and all, doing all the distance and minding the COVID stringent rules that we have out here. But anyway, yes, we keep together. We keep together no matter what, whether a phone or seeing ourselves on the street or going to each other's homes and seeing each other. But one way that we do keep in good contact is, like I said, when we have our general council meeting and all of us get together, that's a time when we all that either get to sit down and talk about good stuff, or we sit down and talk about serious issues that are going in our community and our Indian village here, and try to remedy or take care of those issues, whatever they may be, health, financially, something that somebody may need help in. We try to do the best we can as a tribe here for each other, that we look out for each other. And that's pretty much what we do. And it seems to be working. We're all here. Yes, we do all a little part, but still, like I said, we still try to keep that communication line open and make sure that everybody's doing well and being safe.
We also have our community building here where we hold the Acorns to Oaks for the younger youth people, and also adults attend. So we have different classes like gourd making, sewing, cooking, different kind of things that we have for the community. So we get together. So we have a big community building down the way here on our reservation. We also have a healthy families night. So then you come over here and get a meal usually, but like you said, COVID, we haven't been doing that as much. We also have beach days where we get together with the tribe and have everybody come to get together and have fun and socialize. Also, there's a lot of other events throughout the year that we do with each other, whether it be weddings, birthdays. So we're always together in a sense, doing something. There's an event going on.
Great, thank you. Okay, this one's kind of cool. So this person's basically asking, it's amazing, trying to learn from the Kumeyaay culture what is still available. We found saying the prayers and talking with the plants that they produce more when we need it. Was that part of the ritual to have a mutual relationship? I think we've touched on this a little bit, but I just wanted to mention that again to see if you guys had any other details that you wanted to add.
No, I believe that. I believe that very much. And so that's why I mentioned that, because, when you're young and you do things and the elders would look at you and say, that's not a good thing to do. You need to apologize. And you look at them like, what am I apologizing for? The plant that you just destroyed there. You destroyed a plant. You destroyed life. That's one of the reasons why you have to pray. That is a plant that is alive. It's given part of its plant life there to us to say prayers and to heal and to do good with that. And that's one of the reasons we say that. And the people that told me that a long time ago when I was a kid, you don't do that. You don't go up to plants and just start destroying them, because those plants are alive. And that's a thing that stuck in my head for the longest time, and it still does, and it'll probably continue. And I try to tell my kids and my grandkids that, plant life out there is something that maybe it's just sitting there, you don't know, but some of that is something that could be used for us to heal, something to drink and nourish our bodies. So you need to realize and understand what plants are there for us. And that's what, like you said, we're trying to establish and teach our elders, to teach our young people about these things, so that later on that it just continues on forever and ever to our Kumeyaay people, our young people, and our future Indian people.
Great. Thank you. Absolutely. So I'm switching back over the chat because I see a question from a 9-year-old and it's so adorable. What games do you play for fun?
Oh my gosh! When I was a kid. Oh yeah, there's a game that we play. It's called Peon. It's a game where you have 5 guys on each team. They can be women or men. And nowadays it's young kids playing, and they're doing well, and they love playing it. It's just I guess you want to call it maybe a gambling game a little bit, if you want to throw that in there. but there's times where it could be used just for fun and just have fun with it. But some of the older adults, when they do play the game, it's a serious game and they play for money, and sometimes the game can go on back and forth because you have sticks in the middle. And once you win, you get the stick over here, and if that side wins, they get the stick back over there. It could go on all night. It could go on until the wee hours of the morning. I mean, they sit there, and it is really a grueling sport if you wish to. And there's young people, like I said, play this. Women play this, and you just got to see it. You got to see it, witness it, to get a feeling for what they say and sing and laugh and dance. They sing a lot in there too, so you got to be right with them and making your bets, and you're dancing along with them, and it's a fun game. So like I said, now it's young kids that are playing now, and they're having fun with it too. So I'd like to invite, if we ever get a chance of a peon tournament, they usually take place on gatherings that are, just because of COVID, the gatherings haven't gone in for a while now. So we're probably going to get back into that mode here in a bit, to where we have gatherings, and part of it is the peon tournament. So once that comes about and we start doing it again, I'll put the word out to you guys and see if we can invite some of you out to come out and actually witness a game being played. And sometimes they play it at nighttime, like I said, and sometimes they play it during the daylight hours too. But most of the time I've seen it played at nighttime, where they just go on all night. They have fires all around. It's something to see, something to see.
Great, thank you for that answer. Okay, we've got this one about arrowheads. Somebody's wondering how you guys make arrowheads.
Well, we do flint knap, and that's was pointed out to me by one of the science people, the professionals, that I said that arrowhead there, and I was corrected. It is called a projectile point. So I just wanted to correct you on that, because they've corrected me on that now. So instead of saying arrowhead, it's a projectile point. Yes, we do. If you go around in certain areas in our Kumeyaay Nation or our Aboriginal territory, you'll find flakes on the ground using the metavolcanic rock. And some other pieces of stone that we use to hit against each other to start forming a projectile point, maybe a spear projectile point or an arrow using a projectile point. That could be all made for that reason, to use those tools to sharpen up and make it. And also the tool could be used for something that we could use for scraping, a tool in the kitchen area, if you want to call it, something that would cut, because these pieces would be really sharp pieces and could cut you. So anyway, those are, yes, we did, and we still do flint knapping, making arrows and bows. And my nephew mentioned here using willow. Some of the people do use willow to do their bows and arrows also, aside from making handles for the gourds for our harumala, they call it. So for the bird singers to sing their songs. But yes, we do flint knap, and we do make projectile points, meaning arrowheads or spearheads, or whatever you want to call it. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Term, projectile point.
Last question.
All right, last question. I think this is a good last question, actually. How can folks outside, how can folks outside the Kumeyaay community take part in learning more about traditional knowledge in a respectful manner, such as possibly attend certain cultural events or even other panels such as this one?
The community college.
Yeah, we have the community college, And that seems to be an avenue for all that are really seeking some information or some education. That's one of the avenues you could probably use. We have a pretty good instructor out there, Mr. Stan Rodriguez, and he has taught a lot of classes now, and people are walking away with some knowledge of the Kumeyaay people, maybe even speak some of the language, because that's what he's teaching in the class. And he teaches many other things, but I mean, the language is one of the main things he's been teaching, and it seems to be working really well. Not only a non-Indian will come up to you and speak in Indian, it's really, wow, that's something that this instructor put out that this person learned. So now not only do we have our native people going there and learning, it's really being beneficial to us in the community, because these people are coming back and they know the language and they're speaking it really well.
Yeah.
Because of Mr. Rodriguez.
The Kumeyaay Community College is associated with Kumeyaay College. It's accredited, so you can get your associates in Kumeyaay studies. Some of the classes are ethnoecology, the land and the people, ethnobotany. It's taught with Professor Garcia and Richard Bugby. And we also have Kumeyaay History 1 and 2, taught by Ethan Benegas. And I think they're offering a humanities class coming up in the future. The young ones in middle school, you can take these classes to be applied towards your future credits for AP. They do have monthly traditional like soap making or things like that they also teach. So Kumeyaay Community College, I just Google it to find the information.
Great. Thank you for that information. I have just one last thing here that I think is a good way to close it. Someone's asking if you can leave us with a prayer for Mother Earth.
Boy, that's a good one.
I know.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I'll do it. I like to start off when I speak, when I do prayer, I usually start off with the Creator of heaven and earth, all of the ocean and all of the people and all the plant life and all life, from the smallest bug to the biggest bug, to the smallest animal to the biggest animal. Creator, bless us, keep us to know and take care of Mother Earth, and let them know that we love Mother Earth because she gives us life. Thank you, Creator, Mother Earth.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for sharing with us and fielding so many questions today. Really appreciate you taking out the time to share about your lives, your culture, your community. It's truly been an honor, and I hope that we can do this again.
Oh yes, we look forward to doing it again. It's educational.
Absolutely.